All right. Well, thank you so much. I want to thank you for joining us for this wonderful panel discussion that we're going to have regarding pre-med advising at Center College. We have a lot of prospective students who ask about pre-med and are kind of interested in potentially pursuing a career in medicine. Center is really well known for the way that we help students on that pathway. So I'm really excited to kind of give you an overview and to share with you some of our fantastic students and professor who is going to talk with us more about pre-med at Center. So to introduce myself, my name is Annie Murphy. So I'm a member of our admission staff at Center. I'm also a Center alum. And I am also the sister of a Center alum who also pursued a career in medicine, and she's now on the faculty at University of Louisville School of Medicine. So that's my connection to pre-med. And I'll have Josh, if you would introduce yourself next.
Yeah, I'm Josh Joyner. I am a biochemistry and molecular biology major at Center. I am on the tennis team and also a member of Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity. And next year I'm going to UK College of Medicine.
Great, thanks so much. Chloe, how about you?
So I'm Chloe. I'm a chemistry major, and I'm on the swim team, and I'm a member of Alpha Delta Pi. I'm also the chemistry student representative, and I'll be attending Wright State.
Excellent, congrats, that's great. How about Olivia?
Hi, I'm Olivia Honaker. I'm from Brandenburg, Kentucky. I am a biochemistry and molecular biology major. I ran cross country and track and field during my time at Center, and I was also a member of Kappa Alpha Theta and was president of MedLife. Next year, I will be attending University of Kentucky College of Medicine.
Great, thanks so much. And Lindsay, how about you?
Hey, I'm Lindsay Everett. I'm from Paris, Kentucky. I'm a classical studies major at Center, and I swam for the first 2 years, and I will be going to the University of Louisville School of Medicine next semester.
Fantastic, thank you. And last but not least, how about you, Dr. Workman?
Hi, I'm Joe Workman. You may also see my cat Smithers poking his head up occasionally. This is my 27th year at Center, and for essentially my first 23 years, I was the pre-med advisor, but I've retired from that, although I did have a little bit of help in getting these people into medical school. I teach mostly organic chemistry. I also teach a course in New Zealand on volcanoes, which Josh and Olivia were just part of this past January. I'm glad that we got that in before the COVID-19 hit.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you. Well, I wonder, Dr. Workman, if you could talk us through just kind of a short overview of just what is pre-med at Center? What does that mean? How does that differ from, of course, your major? And just what does the advising look like that students are able to get who are interested in medicine?
I think that if you look at the 4 very accomplished students we have in front of us, you'll see that pre-med at Center is kind of individualized. A lot of students coming into college think that there is some very prescribed path to becoming a physician, and that's really not the case. And because everybody comes to medicine through a different perspective, through a different journey, and so you want to be able to go to a college where you can explore different pathways, whether it's a different pathway in terms of major, whether it's finding out midway through college that you are actually interested in becoming a physician. You need a college that is going to be able to accommodate you. And I think one of the real advantages to Center is that because the advising is so personalized, that students feel very comfortable coming to professors, whether it's the actual pre-med advisor, or whether it's somebody who was a pre-med advisor, or whether it's their coach in their sport, or an alum. Those are the kinds of connections that you can start to make, which will allow you to explore your pathway to become a physician. one of the things that I really liked the most when I was the pre-med advisor was working with students who didn't quite know what they wanted to do, or who thought that they knew a pathway, but they came up with something new. I really always enjoyed working with students like Lindsay, who's a classics major, and finding out why are you so interested in classics? And wow, that's going to be able to help you in your perspective as you journey to become a physician and once you become a physician. So I think one of the real big advantages to Center College is the kind of personalized advising that you have. And it's just too hard right now to say, oh, you're going to be taking these classes and you're going to be doing this internship. It's just all different. And one of the things that you guys are going to hear in the next few minutes is how varied the experiences are of the 4 students that you have here. And we could have gotten a whole bunch of other students and they would have completely different stories.
Absolutely. You're totally right about that. So thank you so much. Well, I'm going to launch into a couple of questions here for our panelists. Feel free to kind of chime in. Whatever you've got, we'd love to hear about it. So, you know, one of the things, Center does have a really great reputation for helping students on the pathway to medical school. You know, there are tons of rankings guides out there. There is one rankings guide that actually places us number 22 in the United States for pre-med. It's a 3-way tie with Harvard and MIT, which I think is pretty cool. I'm curious, why do you all think that that is the case? Why is our reputation good for that? Why are our results good? Kind of back up that accolade a little bit for me, if you would.
For one, I think our small class sizes are very helpful because not only does it help you build your relationships with professors that help you get more experiences and get that advising that you might need. And it's not only through a pre-med advisor like Dr. Workman, but also just through professors that you have through various courses you go through at Center. They really kind of help you guide you throughout your way. But then it also, I feel like the small class sizes also help you build connections with other students. Like for instance, like Josh, I remember I first met him when I sat next to him during Chem 1. And I didn't really know him that well, but and then we've kind of gone throughout this whole pathway together. And it's just interesting to think back of at a big school, we might have never even crossed paths, but throughout our time through Center, we've crossed all of these paths together. And I think that really helps with the collaborative nature at Center, because we're not really thinking of we need to be competitive with each other to try to get into medical school. We really get to help each other. I got to help him a little bit through Chem 1, and then sometimes in organic he would be helping me, and things like that. We just had different sometimes I had questions. If I did have questions, I had to go to Josh. They weren't other people. Anyway, we got to really help each other rather than think that we had to compete with each other. And I think that that's unique to Center, and that you don't necessarily get that at other schools.
Yeah, go ahead, Lindsay.
So I also think that liberal arts, in my case personally, played a really huge role in my acceptance, just because you have to think of all of the students you're going up against from all the different schools, and everybody looks really similar. And 3 out of these 4 people are science majors, but Center, just the structure that it has, allowed me to explore a different area of study, and that really sets you apart. And I think it's important to focus on those differences so that you stand out. And Center's really great too about providing the opportunities, because you make those connections with your professors. That allowed me to get internships I otherwise wouldn't have had. I published a paper as the result of such internships. So I think just the variety, the individual nature of the student experience as a whole at Center was pivotal, in my case at least, for getting in, I think.
Thank you so much. All right, well, we'll move on. Thank you guys. This is really great insight. I appreciate it. So, Lindsay, you kind of alluded to something that I wanted to ask about. And my question is kind of, you know, when people think about pre-med, they kind of think about a certain set of courses. They think about kind of being all in on one thing. And I think that your experiences definitely indicate that that's not the case for our students at Center. I'm wondering if you could share with me some of the things that you've done, say, outside of the classroom that you feel have helped you on this path. So, love to hear from you.
Well, this is sort of in connection to Center, but so we have Center term. I also love the way our terms are set up. We have that nice month of you focus on one thing, but we have the opportunity to do something off campus. And I actually I sought out a physician and worked with her for an entire month, published a paper with her, and things like that are what med schools want to see, that you're doing something outside of the classroom, but those opportunities aren't available necessarily. You like Center opens the world up to you in a way. And I did a rotation my senior year Center term at Ephraim McDowell, where I was on every single floor of the hospital. And that shows you, yeah, this is what I want to do, or like maybe I can't be around sick people 5 days a week for 8 hours. And having those kind of experiences before you step foot on a medical campus, I think that's really important. And Center advising and just Center structure in general sets you up to have those experiences.
Thank you. What about
Gosh, so you did something really interesting in Memphis.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it's cutting in and out. But something back to what Chloe was talking about, how Center kind of fosters this community of learning. I've through this all built friendships and relationships with my professors that have given me the opportunity to do these amazing things. So, for example, I remember one day I was in organic lab with Dr. Workman, and he comes up to me and asks if I've applied for this internship in Memphis. And I mean, I'd never heard of it, and I would have never heard of it if it wasn't for him. And I applied and ended up getting it. And it was one of the most important internships in my pursuit of medicine. I went down to Memphis. It's called the Memphis Urban Health Institute. It was 2 students from Center, 2 from Rhodes, and 2 from Sewanee. But what I did was, one, took a medical humanities class, which I would have never dreamed I would have taken, you know, being strictly science. But also, it was very independent, and I would go around in the hospital by myself and knock on these patients' doors, introduce myself and talk to them and ask how they're doing and help them out if I could. And this just one-on-one experience with the patient was, well, terrifying, first of all, going in, trying to introduce myself when I didn't feel like I had any agency of doing so. But it really made me realize why I was in medicine or wanted to be in medicine and what I wanted to do. And I mean, it looked good in the application, and it really taught me a lot of what it's going to take to be a physician one day.
Anybody else?
Go
ahead. Sorry, Olivia. Go ahead. Please.
You're fine. One of the really cool things about Center that I have experienced is the connections that Center has with its alumni. So there was a alumna that came back and spoke at a senior seminar for my major, and we went and saw the seminar, and I was like, this person's research is just so cool, and it's completely backed and is very scientifically stable. And so I went up to her after the research and I asked her if she had spots in her lab for that summer and if I could join and help out with that research. And she allowed me on board, and I fell in love with the research she does. She does research on Marfan syndrome. And so one of the really cool things that I never realized I enjoy was how interesting the heart is. And that's become more of a passion for me recently, especially. And if I hadn't have had that connection through the alumni, then I wouldn't have had that experience or known that I enjoyed that so much.
Yeah.
That was Mary Shepard, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's
And I know Mary. That's so great. that's fantastic.
class of 2008. I
She's
remember.
amazing. We used to work together. She's fantastic. So great. Another question is kind of put yourself back in the shoes of a prospective student. So a senior in high school, you're thinking about making your big college decision. You're thinking about what the kind of next 4 years of your life might look like. What advice would you have for a student in that stage? What would you tell them if you're looking back at your old senior high school self? What advice do you have?
I would say, like, keep doing the things that you love, even if it doesn't fit like a pre-med rule. Like, for instance, like, I'm a swimmer. I've been swimming for 4 years. So that's not necessarily you think of, oh, the like college athlete, like they're going to be the big science person. But like also like in interviews, people always wanted to talk to me about swimming, and I always wanted to talk about swimming because that's something that really lights up. And I've got like a lot of things I've learned through it. And it's something that's really just a part of me. And I think that that's important to make sure that you stay true to what is a part of you and don't lose yourself in thinking that you have to do something that you're not in order to get to med school.
Great advice.
I think also it's important to understand yourself as a student. So I went to a small high school. I'm from a small town, and I knew I needed small classes. I needed to have office hours that I could go to that weren't on a screen. And that's why center fit my bill pretty perfectly. And I think the value of being able to sit in your professor's office for an hour just one-on-one cannot be overstated, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's important to ask yourself, where will I be most successful? And a step on Center's campus told me that right away. So I guess in addition to that, go to the place and do things like this. That's one thing Center's really great about, is even during a pandemic, we are putting ourselves out there to show students what we can offer. And I think it's important to do that research ahead of time.
Thank you, Lindsay. That's great. Dr. Workman, do you have any advice that you would give to a student who's thinking about this pathway or who is thinking about Center?
I think the best advice that I tend to give prospective students, and I spoke to most of these 4 people as prospective students, although I don't necessarily remember that. But I think the best advice is to choose a college where you think you're going to be comfortable for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't worry so much about trying to pick a college where you think this is my pathway to medical school. Because a lot of students who think they want to be physicians when they enter college end up finding other things that they're passionate about. And I think that probably the biggest highlight about Center that should attract you is something that has sort of been a thread through all of the responses that you've heard from these 4 students, and that is that there's a real sense of community at Center. Students work together in a non-competitive environment. They work with faculty. Faculty work with students not only in their coursework, but also in trying to help them pursue their careers, whether it's medicine or not. This is a select group of students who had a pretty good idea that they wanted to be physicians when they entered Center, but that's not all the people that go off to medical school. So when you're trying to decide on a college, think about a lot of the answers that these 4 students were giving today about the sense of community, about the collaborative nature that they have, and also the many opportunities that they had outside of the classroom.
Thank you. Sorry, just a show of hands too. How, if you could just kind of put it up in your in your panel. How many of you studied abroad? Yeah, awesome. And then I know we have athletes. How many athletes do we have here? Awesome, great. Show of fingers. How many professors do you feel like have, or staff members, people on campus, have become really influential for you? How many do you feel like have become
Can
mentors?
we do more?
I can give my toe here.
Sure.
That's awesome. Oh, that's great. Well, good. Well, guys, thank you so much for doing this with us today. We miss your faces. We're so sad we can't be with you in person. We're all going to get through this. We're going to be fine. But thank you for participating. Prospective students, as you watch this presentation, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Your admission counselor is there to help you. If you want to be connected to students and ask them kind of student to student questions, we can do that easily too. Just send us an email or reply to one of the many emails we've been sending you recently. So thanks again, and thanks guys. We're going to sign off.
Good luck, everyone.
Bye. Good luck.
Yeah.
We'll see ya.